soldiers, sailors, marines, airmen.
You are our greatest weapon of all.
First step in solving any problem is recognizing there is one.
It's time we started talking. Pain isn't something we call.
All we can ever do for our heroes is remember them. And they gave up two lives, the one they were living and the one they would have lived. They gave up everything for our country, for us. They prayed for freedom and justice.
Some veterans not getting the timely care that they need. Less than 1% of Americans serving in uniform. Good news is that in recent years we've made historic investments to boost the VA budget.
What is it? Why should we care?
We should care about press freedom
Because we were informed.
In democratic societies, free, diverse, and pluralist media enable public debates and are essential checks
You don't
on
look
power.
satisfied. Let's discuss.
Hey guys, welcome to Vet podcast, new episode, season 2, episode 6, Scars. As a short reminder, Vet is a non-profit educational project dedicated to assist veterans with adjustments to civilian lifestyle and to provide assistance in obtaining your VA and the other available benefits that you have earned. So SCAR disabilities are rated under 38 CFR 4.118, diagnostic code 7800/7805. And scars are rated based on the number of scars or disfigurements a veteran has and the area of the body affected, their permanence, and the presence of pain or instability. So let's go into the topic.
Yeah. So the VA scheduled for rating disabilities, VA SRD, note 8 characteristics of disfigurement that the VA incorporates into law, how it rates scars for disability compensation purposes. The 8 characteristics of disfigurement: number 1, scar is 5 or more inches in length. Number 2, width of the scar is 1/4 inch at the widest part. Number 3, surface of the scar elevates or depresses when pressed upon. Number 4, the scar is adherent to the soft tissue underneath it. Number 5, hypopigmentation, loss of skin color, or hyperpigmentation, darkening of the skin color in an area larger than 6 square inches. 6, abnormal skin texture, tight, shiny, scaly, things like that, in an area larger than 6 square inches. Number 7, underlying soft tissue beneath the scar is missing in an area larger than 6 square inches. And number 8, skin is inflexible, does not move, and is endured hard in an area exceeding 6 square inches.
So, diagnostic code 7800, scars or disfigurement of the head, face, or neck.
There are 3 main categories VA takes into account when assigning a rating for scars under diagnostic code 7800, tissue loss, distortion or asymmetry of features, and characteristics of disfigurement. Veterans who display tissue loss and gross distortion or asymmetry of 3 or more features, such as the nose, chin, forehead, eyes, eyelids, ears, cheeks, or lips, or display 6 or more characteristics of disfigurement, should receive a disability rating of 80%. Veterans who experience tissue loss and gross distortion or asymmetry of 2 of the features listed above, or have 4 of the 5 characteristics of disfigurement, should be rated 50. Those who present with tissue loss and gross distortion or asymmetry of 1 of the aforementioned features, or 2 or 3 of the characteristics of disfigurement, may be assigned a disability rating of 30%. Veterans who display 1 characteristic of disfigurement may receive a disability rating of 10%, which is most common for most people.
Mm-hmm. So, diagnostic code 7801, scars elsewhere on the body that are deep and non-linear.
Non-linear scars located in different areas of the body, for example, 1 extremity, 2 separate extremities, front or back of the torso, are rated separately. Each rating is based upon the area of qualifying scars that affect a portion of the body. This means that if a veteran has 1 qualifying scar on their right arm and a qualifying scar on their left leg, they will receive separate ratings for each scar, which will then yield a combined disability rating. Nonlinear deep scars that occupy areas of 144 square inches or more may receive a 40% disability rating. Areas of at least 72 but less than 144 square inches warrant a 30% rating. Areas of 12 square inches minimum but under 72 square inches may be assigned 20%, and areas or areas of at least 6 but less than 12 square inches should receive a 10% rating. And so this is just because of the size of the scars.
Diagnostic code 7802, superficial nonlinear scars not on the head, neck, or face.
Superficial scars are not permanent in nature and do not affect underlying soft tissue, only the skin. Similar to diagnostic code 7801, these scars are rated separately for each area of the body affected. Veterans are only able to receive a 10% disability rating for superficial nonlinear scars affecting one area of the body other than the head, face, or neck. If the area or areas of the scars are 144 square inches or more, the veteran should be rated at 10%.
7804, painful or unstable scars.
According to the Veterans Affairs Schedule for rating disabilities, an unstable scar is one where there is frequent loss of covering of skin over the scar. If more than one scar is considered unstable, an additional 10% may be added to the rating. Additionally, scars rated under diagnostic codes 7800, 7801, 7802, or 7805 can also receive an evaluation under 7804 when applicable. Veterans who have 5 or more unstable or painful scars can be rated at 30%. 3 or 4 painful or unstable scars may receive a rating of 20%, and 1 or 2 painful or unstable scars should be rated at 10%.
7805, other scars including linear scars.
Disability ratings for these conditions are based upon the disabling effects of that the scar presents. For example, if a veteran has a linear scar running along the elbow that prevents flexation, then he or she will be rated on limitation of motion of the elbow. All other scar conditions not listed in the VA SRD are rated analogous to diagnostic codes 7800 to 7805.
Well, typically scars are disfiguring or include visible or palpable tissue loss, especially those that involve the face, head, or neck. And those can be claimed straight away. But the VA rating percentage and disability compensation rate for such scars depend on multiple factors, such as number of scars, size, location, degree of disfigurement, and so on. And however, all too often veterans don't know to claim, and the VA doesn't offer to rate scars connected to service-connected disabilities. Typically, scars that are linear, superficial, no underlying soft tissue damage, stable, well healed, and non-painful are rated at 0%. However, if the scar is deep with underlying soft tissue damage, unstable, frequent loss of covering of skin over the scar, or painful, then it can be rated at 10%, disabling or more. For example, if a veteran has a surgery on a service-connected hernia condition after some period, the veteran will receive compensation for the residual of that condition. And however, the scar resulting from the surgery becomes a secondary condition and should be claimed as well.
Yep.
In this example, oftentimes the scar is painful due to its location and the irritation resulting from the waistline, zipper, buttons, or snaps of the clothing that is worn. By claiming this painful scar secondary to the service-connected hernia condition, the veteran may well receive 10% disability rating. And to better support a painful scar claim, it is advisable to discuss this condition with your doctor, so it is noted in your medical treatment records. And yeah.
Yeah, so keep that in mind. A lot of guys forget about the idea of a painful scar. They just go, yeah, I have a scar. So if there's any kind of pain towards it, you might be able to get at least 10 out of it.
Yeah, make sure the examining physician take color photos of every scar in addition to clear and detailed measurements and description to ensure you receive a proper rating for your condition.
So scars can get pretty confusing, but hopefully this won't be too bad. First, there's basically 4 categories a scar can fit under. Any scars on or disfigurements of the head, face, or neck. Scars anywhere else on the body that are linear. Scars anywhere else on the body that are nonlinear and are deep. And scars anywhere else on the body that are nonlinear and are superficial. Each of these categories has its own code and ratings.
So like for example, if a fleshy part of the ear is missing, then it's only rated on the code 6207, loss of the auricle. If an eye is actually missing, then it's only rated on the code 6063, loss of one eye. And both eyes is only rated on the code 6061, loss of both eyes. And the rating for this condition can also be warranted under this code if there is a scarring or disfigurement in addition to the missing ear or eye.
So for like an example, if there's an obvious significant tissue loss with severe distortion of 3 or more of the following: the eye and eyelids, ear, nose and mouth and lips, chin, forehead, or cheeks, it's rated at 80%. 2 of the above is rated 50 and 1 of the above is rated 30. Second rating option, the characteristics of disfigurement are as follows: loss of skin color or darkening of the skin color or redness in an area of more than 6 square inches. The texture or feel of the skin is irregular. The soft tissue underneath the surface of the scar is missing in an area of more than 6 inches. These areas will often be sunken in and hard to the touch. The skin is hard and doesn't move when touched or pulled in an area from more than 6 inches. This is all 6 inches squared. The skin of the scar is attached to the soft tissue underneath it. This would make that area hard to move since the skin would not be able to stretch or move in response to some movements, which is kind of like how the elbow wouldn't be able to bend. The surface of the scar rises up or sinks down when pushed upon. The scar is 5 or more inches long. The scar is like a quarter inch or more at its widest point. And so like almost like you see those college dudes with the branding tattoos and you could see the rays, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
When measuring a scar, measure from side to side and then from top to bottom. If the side to side measurement is 5 inches and the top to bottom measurement is 3 inches, then the overall area of the scar would equal 15 squares. Now, when rating the scar disfigurement of the head, face, and neck, only one rating can be given for this entire area, regardless of how many scars there are. The measurements of each scar are added together to create a total scarred area. So if there are 2 scars, one is 3 inches long and 2 inches wide, and the another is 2 inches long and 1 inch wide, then the combination of the scars of the area would be 8 inches squared. And the total length would be 5 inches squared. The width is only measurement that cannot be added together. The requirement for width characteristic is that it has to be a quarter inch at the widest point. The largest width is only one that would qualify for this. So in this case, the largest width measurement is 2 inches, plenty wide enough to qualify, but in the largest width, but if the largest width were only 1/8 of an inch, then neither scar would qualify for the characteristic. So get big scars. After the math is done, you have to determine how many characteristics these scars have. So assume that both scars are shiny and red. These scars would then satisfy the requirement for 4 characteristics: the scar being 5 or more inches long, the scar being 1/4 or inch more wide at the widest point, redness in an area of 6 inches squared or more, shiny texture in an area of 6 inches squared or more. Now let's assume that one of these scars, the one measuring 2 by 3 or 6 inches squared, has a missing soft tissue. but the other doesn't. Since the scar measures 6 inches square on its own, it does qualify for another characteristic. The total number of characteristics for these two scars in this case is 5. The total number of characteristics for these two scars in this case is now 5. If, however, the small scar, the 2x1, the 2-inch square, is the one with missing soft tissue, it does not have a large enough area by itself to qualify for this characteristic, even though the total area you combine both areas is big enough. A characteristic can only qualify if it covers an area of 6 inches squared or more. So now that we're covering everything, so let's try to make a bigger example out of all this fun stuff. So let's say there's now 3 scars. The first one is 2 inches long and 2 inches wide. The texture is scaly, the color is white, and the skin is inflexible. The second scar is 4 inches long, an 1/8 inch wide. It sinks down when it's pushed on and the texture is scaly. The last scar is 12 inches long and an 1/8 inch wide. The color is red and texture is shiny. How many characteristics of disfigurement are present? So I hope you all wrote this down.
Yeah, so like for the first one, length 2 inches, width 2 inches, total area 4 inches, no rises or sinks when touched, no soft tissue attached. So skin hard and immovable, 6 inches and 4 inches in total. Irregularities, 6 inches. Irregular color, so irregular texture and irregular color is 4 inches. Scar number 2, length 4, width 1/8, so total area 0.5. Rises or sinks when touched, yes. Movable, no missing tissues. Irregularities in texture 0.5, irregularities in color none. And scar number 3, length 12 inches, width 1/8, total area is 1.5 inches, and we can only see irregularities in texture and in color. So and here we got to figure out what applies.
So the total number of characteristics of disfigurement that are present in this case is 4. Note that in this case, even though scar number 2 was only 1/2 inch square and was the only one that raised or sunk when pushed on, it still qualified for this characteristic since there was no minimum area required. Likewise, though, 2 of the scars had irregular color, the combined area of these 2 scars was not enough for it to qualify for the last characteristic. Now for the rating, the thing that everybody cares about. If there are 6 or more characteristics, it is rated at 80%. If there are 4 or 5 characteristics, rated at 50. If there are 2 or 3, it's rated at 30%. If there's 1 characteristic, it's rated at 10%. So for this example, we had 4. That's not too bad of a rating.
So, non-linear scars of the body.
Non-linear scars are scars that are patches, not thin lines. And so this is important. Each part of the body that is affected by a non-linear scar is rated separately. When the ratings are assigned, numerous ratings under these codes can be given. So if more than one rating is given under the diagnostic code 7801, then it should be clear on the rating decision which area each rating is for.
So yeah, so it's important that each of these areas is clearly defined and measured, so that overall rating is accurate. And all nonlinear scars of the body are rated based on the area, square inches, of the skin affected. And these calculations can be a bit complicated to measure and may vary based on the examining physician. And you can help yourself, however, by knowing exactly how these measurements should be done. And to measure the area of skin affected by a burn, measure the length, top to bottom, width, side to side, and then multiply them together. It may be necessary to portion the scar into sections that are then measured and their areas added together. Yeah, so And if a single scar runs across one part of the body and into another, then it's divided and rated for each bit of it that is in each part of the body. And unfortunately, this could decrease the overall rating if the parts of the scar in each area are smaller, and thus rated less than it might have been as a whole. Yeah. So
keep in mind, we've been talking about the diagnostic code 7801 for deep nonlinear scars. These are the deep scars if there's damage to the soft tissue under the skin. If the area of scarring is in a single body part that's 144 square inches or bigger, then it's rated at 40%. The other one is diagnostic code 7802, which is the superficial nonlinear scars. These are the ones that only affect the skin and not the soft tissue underneath, like stitches. If these scars cause other disabling conditions beyond disfigurement, like pain, you could go for that 10% rating.
Yeah, so depends on what kind of scar you have, how it is big or wide, if there is a redness, if there is a tissue attached, and based on those criteria, you can go to this or that diagnostic codes. So other scar conditions?
All other scar conditions will be rated analogously. So with the above ratings, the bottom line rule is to rate any condition under the code that best describes it, even if it's not necessarily exact.
So what kind of principles we can apply here?
So always keep in mind pyramiding. That's like the biggest thing that a lot of vets don't really understand, and what it basically is a single condition could only be rated once. However, if another condition exists that is in addition to the scar condition, not just caused by it, then it could also be rated. So similar thing that you would see is like hearing loss and tinnitus are two separate things, even though it's your left ear. But you can't just build off of that one thing forever and ever. Probative value: if two exams record the condition differently, then the exam with the most thorough data and performed by the most qualified person in that specialty will be the exam that the rating is based on. And so always remember, a tie goes to the vet. If there are two equally strong exams with conflicting information, or if the condition can be equally rated under two different codes, then the one that gives the highest rating will be assigned. Every conflict should be resolved in the favor of the higher rating. This is what we're hoping for. Accurate measurements. It is essential that the necessary information to rate your condition is recorded by the physician in your exam. With the information on this page, you should know what needs to be measured and recorded. Make sure this happens correctly to ensure you're receiving a proper rating. Hospital or convalescent ratings. Some conditions require periods of hospitalization or constant medical care at home nurses. Any condition that requires this is rated at 100% during this intensive treatment. Once it ends, then the 100% rating will continue for a certain period. This is a period of 3 months unless another length, like 6 months or a year, is directly specified in the condition rating. Some patients may need more time to recover than others, so the physician or rating authorities can lengthen this time period if they see fit. And so that's basically the 100% due to medical surgeries and stuff like that.
So that's it for this podcast. And as always, they have book, a great movie, stuff you would recommend.
Rick and Morty season 5 is out, so go check that out. And avoid Southern California. It's very hot right now.
Yeah. And quote or words of wisdom of the day.
War is cruelty. There is no use in trying to reform it. The crueler it is, the sooner it will be over.
Said by William T. Sherman. That's it, folks. Thank you for listening. Until next time, over and out.
Thank you.